Best Irish music on irishradio.org with Jerry Byrne.
I'm Jerry Byrne, irishradio.org it is, and I've been speaking over this past period of lockdown and COVID-19 and all the rest of it to some of the great and the good of the entertainment and music industry across Ireland. And the next gentleman is undoubtedly one of the true legendary musicians of music. He's been on the road and performing for many, many moons. Not alone with the top bands and top acts in Ireland, but also as a session musician who has played on more tracks and more recordings than I think even he can remember. One of Ireland's greatest fiddle players and winner of Opportunity Knocks from back in the days in 1976 with the Cotton Mill Boys. I'm delighted to say hello to the one and only Charlie Arkins. Charlie, how are you?
Hi, Barry, how are you?
Not too bad at all, Charlie. Listen, lovely to catch up with you. Lovely to chat with you. You've had a heck of a musical career.
Oh, it's a long one, all right. If you've got a couple of weeks off, I've just retired there recently from it. You know, well, I'm at home. I suppose I won't say music so much as I retired from going on the road.
Yes, that was a surprise. I'll have to say.
I got when I got to this certain stage of my career, I thought I was a bit, and I hadn't been too old for the long journeys. And I enjoyed the stage and all that, but the road was beginning to catch up with me. You know, the long 3 and 4 hour trips and then I got to be home around the gardens and all that stuff. When the COVID hit, and I got a taste of maybe I'll stay like this. So that's the way it is now. I had a lovely career, all right, going back from 1969, Jerry, right up to now.
Wow, that's a long time.
So I was a psychiatric nurse, 1966 to 69, and I trained in St. Brendan's in Dublin, and then I was approached by Des and Johnny Kelly of the Captain Showband to join the Virginians, the first Virginians, if you remember them.
I do indeed, yes.
Dermot Henry, and then I spent a while with them, and then I was with Margot for a while to shoot through it fast, and then I was with Gregory of the Nashville Ramblers. Gregory used to be with the Cadets years ago.
Yes.
And it moved on to Matty Fox and Margot. Well, yeah, the 74 Jerry Madigan approached me to join the Cotton Mill Boys.
Right.
So I did 14 years with the Cotton Mill Boys. So we had a lot of things happen during that time, you know.
Indeed, you had an astounding success.
The Cotton Mill Boys did Opportunity Knocks. 1976, we were on it 5 times, and we worked with Benny Hill, and I didn't use live bands, but because he was in Thames Television, Thames Opportunity Knocks, we got a chance on his show. It was very good for us, and that was up until John Hogan for 10 years. Did 10 years with John, and then I went to Jimmy Buckley, and I was with Jimmy for 19 years now, up until recently. There was a small break in between after the 7 or 8 years with Jimmy. I did a couple of years with Robert Mazzell, and
yes.
I'm back with Jimmy again after that. So that's the rough headlines of it.
that is some that is some career. Not alone that, Charlie, but you also have done thousands of session work of recordings for various artists.
Oh yes, I was doing sessions, I suppose. Going back to the early, after we won up Knox, it would have put my name on the map, maybe. I did the Orange Blossoms special, I think 86, and then I got known as a kind of a fiddle player, and I worked a lot in studios with fiddle for 40 years up until recently, you know. I played on everybody's record, all Irish record. Everyone, Big Tom, Margot, some of Daniels, you know, everyone, Mick Flavin, Nerney, the whole lot of them, you know. So Jimmy Buckley himself, and John Hogan stuff, you know, other stuff. And then there has been some great bright musicians have come up since, so the work is divided amongst them all now, you know. Some good musicians since in the last couple of years, you know.
Indeed.
Fiddle players, the session and thing. And then since the internet and online, on a lot of studios now are important from Nashville as well, you know.
Yes.
Using some of the boys in Nashville as session players, you know.
Yes, yeah, but I mean, still, but still, I mean, you've been in demand, right throughout the years for recordings with literally everybody in every studio almost, all the top studios in Ireland.
All over Ireland. I travelled some distances down to Cork and up to north of Donegal and Belfast. Anywhere there were studios. God, I don't know how I did it. I travelled so much. Now I wouldn't go 5 miles from the house.
Yeah.
Get online or not at all, nobody has to travel anymore because everyone is doing it online now. It's much handier,
Well, that's the thing. I was just going to say, technology has changed the whole thing. I mean, you could be in your studio in County Meath, and you can put down your fiddle track, and you can send that to the other side of the world in a moment.
In about just a couple of seconds, it takes to send an email. That's all it is. Yeah, it can be. If you ask me for something, and I can do it in 10 minutes. 2 minutes later, you have it sitting in your desk into your studio. So, and that could be. But years ago, I remember Basil Hendricks telling me about Frank Sinatra recording in New York, but the orchestra was in San Francisco, and that I thought that was very alien. But they were ahead in America, and the orchestra would have been in San Francisco or some story like that, and it was all bounced down then to the studio in New York or whatever.
Yes,
it was Frank Sinatra, some of these big names. So that was some technology then.
Indeed, it was.
That was in the days when they had the reel-to-reel tape before the digital stuff came in at all.
Indeed so.
Very interesting.
Indeed, isn't it just? Hey, tell me this, Charlie. How did you start out playing the fiddle? Because I mean, you're roundly regarded by all the musicians as a true master fiddle player.
I didn't do it until I was. My father was a fiddle player, and a lot of people in my family were fiddle players, and my uncles and all. So he taught me the fiddle, and I went to the Granard Convent, and I had an orchestra there. But I didn't join the orchestra. I played with the little Kelly band there, and I was a traditional Irish player until I went to Dublin, and I was in the nursing business, and I bought an album of George Jones. It's called When God Comes to Gather His Jewels. It's a purple album, or that's one of the songs on it anyway, and Poor Little Rich Boy and a few of those. And I heard this unusual fiddle playing, and I thought, God, that's very different to what we do here. And I started listening to country music then, and that was in 1967 or 8. And I used to play with a little 4-piece group out in the Hitchin Post and Leixlip. I mean, we were a country type band, and that's what I heard by Johnny and Des Kelly, and that gave me the start in country music. And he asked me to join the Virginians, because the Smoky Mountain Ramblers would have been a big band then, and so was Ray Lynham and the Hillbillies.
Yes.
And Billy Condon on fiddle then at that time, and George Kay with the Smoky Mountain Ramblers. So were the country fiddlers at the time, and that's when I picked it up, and my career started then. I finished my training as a nurse and went straight into the music. But there's a lot more money in the music than there was in the nursing, I can tell you.
Yes, at that time indeed. But I mean that you were playing at that time. I mean, really in the heyday. I mean, you were going in like in the sort of the showband era, and then sort of the country bands, and I mean then to have that huge career with the likes of the Cotton Mill Boys, and you were getting the new up and coming artist at the time, John Hogan, Robert Mazzell, Jimmy Buckley.
That's right. Yeah. And the Cotton Mill Boys would have been a very country bluegrassy type band at the time. Jerry Madigan was the founder member, and he was a banjo player and steel. So we were more a country bluegrass band. We were more so than a show band. Show bands were like, we'd say, you had to have brass in it and all that type of thing, where we were a country band, even though we were part of the show band. But there was a time when I think there could have been 400 to 500 bands on the road. You couldn't travel anywhere at night on the way back from a gig, but you'd meet several other bands, And it was unbelievably amount of bands and the amount of venues. I was looking at old diaries there going back. I have all my diaries going back to 1969. And you'd be out 3 weeks without a break, or you could be doing a good fortnight and just have a Monday night off. If you were off on Tuesday night, the management would tell you, don't go out, don't be sitting and tell you. It's a bit of a shame not to be working on a Tuesday night,
Right.
You had all the carnivals. You could finish March or April, and be coming into May, and you'd finish the dance halls, and you mightn't see a dance hall in September, October. There'd be all carnivals all over the country. 6 nights a week, or 7 nights a week. Massive business then.
It was absolutely huge.
A lot of business then.
Huge. And I mean, one thing with the Cotton Mill Boys, I mean, there were, in the Cotton Mill Boys, there was some incredible talent. I mean, you had, periods of time, you had the likes of Des Wilson, an incredible artist, and, as you said, Jerry Madigan.
And Des, yeah. Jerry Madigan, Des Wilson, Tony Hughes, the singer, and Bob McGauley based there. But we're all good musicians, all right. Des was a great singer, very popular man,
Indeed.
And he left this world too soon as well, poor man.
Indeed so.
And he was married to our manager with Jimmy Buckley, Mary Darcy.
Indeed so.
That was Mary Darcy of Two's Company, remember that?
Indeed, I actually did an interview with Mary only a few days ago.
Ah, lovely. Oh, she's a lovely personality,
Indeed so.
And she's married to I did some sessions on her recordings as well.
Right. And
in fact, I came across it here on the longer tour,
Right. And what
the thing is, Jerry, I forget half of them. Sorry, Jerry.
Yeah, you have done. I mean, I'm not surprised you forget, because I mean the amount of work and the amount of creativity that you've done throughout the years, Charlie, has been just astounding. I mean, I was speaking recently to Robert Weldon, son of Matty Weldon from Waterford. And he was telling me how you had played on one of the tracks on his father's, Matty's album, one of his albums from back in the day.
I could have, yeah. There's a Ivan Livingston, I think he's down around Wexford or Waterford, and he sends up a lot of stuff to me, and it could be one of them either. I'm not too well versed with the down on the Waterford side. There's the odd act, it could be one of them way back, I suppose. But you'd forget, I have, a lot of people bring back CDs to me that I would have played on. But my God, the amount that I didn't get, I forget half of them. I didn't keep a diary as such of everyone I played with, I should have, it'd be interesting, but sure, it was an interesting side business then, traveling to studios and doing work, and it was hard going too.
Yes.
I wouldn't like to do it now at all. I'd sit back in my own studio here and relax and do a few tracks at night time and send them off. But that time you had to do a whole album in the day,
Yes.
You could leave here and go up to the north of Ireland and get a cup of tea and start, and you wouldn't get out at 6 or 7 in the evening. You had to go through maybe 10 or 12 tracks. So it was square going,
That was tough going. Definitely was tough.
And I would say it was more quantity than quality.
Well, I don't know, the quality must have been okay, Charlie, because I mean, the material that you played on did very, very well. So,
it worked out crap. And now it's gone very precise. Now we're up on par with the Nashville recordings. Now you could say,
indeed,
a lot of great studios in Ireland now, and they're producing great stuff on.
Indeed so, and I mean, it must be fantastic for you, to have with your own studio there where you can record something. It really must be fantastic. It must also be creative as well.
It is. I could come in and sit here maybe 1 or 2 in the morning or 3 if I feel like it. Composing different bits and stuff. I'm doing a new CD at the moment for myself. I have an old one recorded from way back in the old days. There was a tape and it turned into CD. It's an analog days before digital, but I'm doing a digital recording. My son David taught me the studio, David Arkins, and he has his own studio, as a big studio in Navan. He records a lot of famous acts as well.
Right.
Have been with him. So he was a great help to me to start me off here, because I was to open and close the door and the operation side of it at all. So he showed me how to work Logic and all that, and Pro Tools and different things, and now I'm working on my own. So it's handy enough,
Indeed, that's excellent.
Handy enough indeed.
Indeed, got a couple of tracks from that forthcoming album. Sounded good, I must say.
It's not. I just sent them over to you. They're not fully mixed or anything, But when David gets his hands at it and I have them completed, and I'll do a complete a mix on it and get it proper. It wouldn't be properly radio friendly yet,
Well,
So it's just a bit of a fun, the bluegrass, harmonica and fiddle album,
right.
Something to have.
Indeed, but that's something else that you're, highly accomplished at, is the harmonica as well.
I took it up as a bit of fun. Just I found out I was often brought to studios for harmonica only, like the more harmonica than fiddle. It was an instrument I took up one of it. I admired Charlie McCoy in Nashville. He was the great harmonica player with all Charlie Pride and most of the country acts. He was one of the Nashville team out there, along with Pig Robbins and all the other artists. The Nashville sound. So I liked his style of playing and sort of rolling,
Right.
And I got about the type of harmonicas, and didn't he contact Horner? And Horner contacted me, and I got a set of harmonicas at half price. So I can be grateful to Charlie McCoy.
Right.
And that's it.
Excellent.
Yeah, the harmonica is another side to it.
Indeed. It's got I'll have to say it's got an interesting sound. I've heard you playing it, and it's got a certain the same as with the fiddle. It's got a certain liveliness to it, and it sort of makes people want to sort of dance and clap and all the rest of it.
Yeah. It's a bit of a fun thing, all right.
Indeed.
It suits certain songs as well where it wouldn't fit the song. I find harmonica might work.
Indeed. Tell me this: how many fiddles have you got?
Oh my gosh! I'm looking at about a half a dozen hanging on the wall. I have I'd say about 12 or 14 different types. I have a very interesting one called the Harding Fail. I brought it back from Norway, and it's got 8 strings. It's the Harding Fail. It's an 8-string fiddle. It has 4 strings above the bridge and 4 below that vibrates. I don't like the sound of it now, but it's a very, very decorative fiddle. But I have a lot of various fiddles. I have the fiddle my father taught me on as well.
Right.
My wife got on to me and says, "You make sure and mind that now. That's the first fiddle I used to have in the back of the bicycle going to Granard, convent in Mercia Granard, County Longford."
Wow.
And my father bought me that for £14 in Waltons. That would have been in 1964 or 65 or something like that,
Right.
Way back in the time of our Lord.
And tell me this: do you when you were doing your live work on stage with the likes of John Hogan or Robert Mazzell or Jimmy Buckley, did you always use the same fiddle?
I would have used the same fiddle. Most had the same fiddle, and then there'd be some awkward keys, so you'd often tune up a different fiddle, a semitone flat, and where it might be F sharp or C sharp or an E flat. So you detune the fiddle to semitone, and that's the reason you'll often see 2 fiddles on a person on stage. So it's one of them is tuned slightly lower. It's not that it's anything different. It's just slower and easier to play when it's flattened to suit the song, the key of the song.
Right.
But it's the same fiddle you use all the time because it's amplified, pick up on it.
Right. And listen, is it true? Is it true what they say that the more expensive a fiddle is, the better it is?
I played very best fiddles or tried them. I didn't buy them, and I didn't like the tone of some of them. And I'd often get a fiddle worth 500 or 600, 700 quid, and to me it would sound the tone I wanted. Now they talk about Stradivarius and for all these millions. It's because it's like a painting by Michelangelo, I suppose, and all that. It's just whoever made the fiddle makes it expensive. But I buy a fiddle. You could go into Waltons there or Sound Shop in Drogheda and pick up 10 fiddles, and they all sound different. So I just pick the fiddle I'd like the tone of. Wouldn't necessarily be the dearest fiddle at all, So they all differ.
Right.
Like human beings.
Indeed. It's interesting stuff. But Charlie, you're still, even though you've retired from the touring, but I mean, there's nobody touring at the moment, unfortunately.
That's it. Yeah.
You've done.
I've retired and. Sorry, Jerry.
I was just going to say you did a Facebook Live with your neighbour Matt Levy.
I did a night with Matt. An hour and a half. It was good fun with that because he's a good sound system and all there. And down at Matt's house, and we just sat down and played along like you would in a pub, So I enjoyed that. I retired from the road, but not from the music. I need that to keep myself sane. But then I'm very fond of helping the wife out in the gardens, and I've just finished a greenhouse at the moment here for her now, large greenhouse, and a bit of doghouse for my son's dog, and I had good old fun during lockdown. I was never idle, so it keeps me busy, and I have pretty large gardens here to keep me busy, cleaning up and tidying and sowing and planting and all that.
Oh, that's mighty.
So it's good to have that.
Indeed, no, I've spoken to many singers actually, and the one interesting thing about it is a lot of them have got into the garden, and a lot also have done, painting up at the house and everything. I reckon, when this is all, when all of this is over, Charlie, I reckon it'd be worth taking a tour of the entertainers and the singers and all that all around Ireland, and looking at the houses and gardens, because they'll be absolutely astounding.
Just to see the improvements.
Indeed.
I cleared a big hedge here, and with my wife and I said we'd get this massive hedge, and we replanted it, and it opened up the whole house then, so we had to redo up the garden and stone and flowers and all that, and we're having a good old bit of fun now with it, and the 6 months flew in. It didn't bother me at all. The thoughts of going back to the road would kill me now if I had to hop in the car and go down to Kerry or up to Donegal. So, as I said, in my mind I'm retired anyway. As you said, though, everybody is retired.
Indeed, everybody
at the moment.
At the moment it is. But Charlie, you never know, when we come out of all of this, you could be just mad for a road again.
I doubt it somehow. I might just go down to Matt or down to the local and play. Or I'd be in concerts if I was needed, and small odd jobs. Mostly the studio here, but I'm not interested in the long, continuous journeys or touring cruises or going to England or Scotland. I'd be very, and I could end up maybe obliging someone sometimes that would need help. But other than that, I don't see myself going back on the road. I'd be retired, because I'm enjoying home life now. And I did 70. What did I do? 51 years of it,
Wow.
So, did you ever come into Cricklewood, the Galtymore, the dancing days?
Yes, I'm aware of the Galtymore and all of that. I know you played in all
the
National and all those venues. Indeed, alas, and like all gone today.
They're all gone. Now, it's just when you said you were in London, I thought you'd be familiar with all that. They were great days, and then and that's gone. Years ago. All closed down.
Indeed, truly amazing, absolutely amazing.
It's amazing, all right, Charlie. Yeah, indeed, no doubt about it.
Indeed, Charlie. Listen, it's been lovely to catch up with you. Lovely to hear about the old days and the good days and all the rest of it. And listen, keep up the music. You've been an inspiration to so many people over the years.
I enjoy it, and I work every night here in the studio. I have all the sessions from different studios send me work in and all that, so it keeps me busy and it keeps my mind occupied. So I'm enjoying it, Jerry, and thank you very much for talking to me, and I'm wishing you all the best, and you've done an awful lot for the Irish artists yourselves. And thanks for your lovely compliments with Jimmy Buckley the other night.
Real pleasure.
Jerry, Jimmy is a great lad. I enjoyed working with Jimmy. It was a great part of my career,
Indeed.
He's a great man to work with.
Indeed.
Great man, So we did put up there again as well, just chat how are things going.
Indeed. Charlie, listen, you stay safe and stay well.
I will indeed, and the same to yourself, Jerry, and thank you very much indeed.